Welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all doing good, and today I'm gonna be breaking down a little beat which I made from scratch. Lil Durk's album is supposed to drop in a couple of weeks, so I decided to, go ahead, cook up some melodic, emotional vibes today. So without too much talk, let's just get into the video. Alright, starting off with the sample, this is how it sounds. Let's start with the BPM. For these type of beats, I usually go with 150 to 165 BPM. That's usually the range most of these songs end up being. In this case, I decided to go with 160 BPM. Starting off with the first layer, we have a piano which sounds like this. Alright, so to break it down for you guys, let's start off by removing the top line melodies and let's talk about the chords. Here I'm using a 3-1-5-1 chord progression. So what I've done here is basically I laid down the chord progression of the melody, and then I took the notes and I duplicated them an octave up, and after that I went ahead and I added the third of each chord. So whenever you have a chord, essentially you just have the root note, then you skip a note, and then you have the third, and after that you just add this note, which is the fifth. So root, third, fifth. That's a basic minor triad chord. And in this case, for the chords, I just left the thirds. So this is how they sound on their own. After that, I went ahead and I added this top line melody, which sounds like this. The way I came up with this was pretty much I started on the fifth, so you can see I just pitched it up an octave, and then I just walked it down with a couple of notes up until the next chord, where I also, took the fifth, I pitched it up an octave, walked it down again. Then we have the same thing, walk it down with some notes, and then we have these two notes which, just walk us up to the exact same chord with the exact same top line. And at the end, to switch it up a little bit, I just added these three extra notes. As a little switch up for the verse, we always need a way to differentiate the verse from the hook. So what I did was I made a new pattern, and here essentially all I did was I just pitched up the melody an octave up, and then I added these little accent notes. Preset which I used for the piano was Keyscape, and I'm using this custom C7 softest preset. As far as effects go, I have these two EQs, which are, the first one is taking out the low end of the sample and a little bit of harsh frequencies from the high end, and then I have these low mid cuts here, which essentially they just take out harsh frequencies. Once again, I added this Valhalla vintage reverb with these settings. And finally, my favorite plugin, which makes everything sound more wide, I added this Fruity Stereo Shaper. I wanted something which has a little bit of high end, since we didn't have any high end in the melody. So I opened up Xenology and I got this guitar rip preset, which sounds like this without any effects. As you can hear, it sounds very harsh, so first off I added this EQ, which is taking a lot of the high end. After that I wanted to make it more ambient, more in the background, so I added this Valhalla vintage reverb with these settings. Then once again I added this Fruity Stereo Shaper, and finally I added this Pancake plugin, which essentially just takes the sound and makes it go from one side to the other. Just creates this sense of dimension. With all the effects now, this is how it sounds. wanted to add a little bit of texture to the sound, so I went ahead and I got this texture, which is, you know, just the sound of a sheet metal being wobbled around. I added this Valhalla Vintage Reverb, these settings, and once again I added this Pancake plugin. Now, one thing that you probably notice is I'm always using the exact same effects on every single sound, and the whole idea is you want all of your sounds to be in the same room, like be in the same place and sound the same. A lot of these samples and beats have these tiny little vocal chops and, you know, just vocals going on in the background. So what I did was I went ahead and I pulled up Arcade, and after that I found this vocal from this Letting Go bank. Now this vocal sounded way too harsh, and I wanted to take out all of these, you know, frequencies which mess up the whole whoop. I took out the low end, I took out the high end. After that I added this EQ, which once again takes out the high end. And then I had these very sharp frequencies which were sticking out way too much, so I added this EQ. I added this Valhalla Vintage Reverb and Pancake. And now our vocal sounds like this. Finally, I needed some low end to the sample, so since we're using a lot of live instruments, you know, a guitar, piano, vocals, so I opened Contact, and using the Scarby Rickenbacker bass, I laid down this pattern. All I'm doing is I'm following the root notes here, and in between these pockets I'm just adding these little licks which actually copy the exact same notes of the top line melody. And since I like to process my bass guitars with an actual amp, I went ahead, I opened up Guitar Rig 6 and I used this Basic Bass Pro preset. After that I went ahead and I arranged the sample. If you want to learn how to arrange your samples, beats, songs, go check this video out. And yeah, once again, this is how the final sample sounds. After that I exported the sample, I chopped it up, arranged it, and then I added these drums. So starting off with the 808, I'm using the Spins 808, and what I've done is I went ahead and I shortened it a lot, and then I turned it up a whole lot, like pretty much all the way up. And what this does is it allows me to, you know, make it hit as hard as possible. I'm following the root notes, and this is what the 808 sounds like. You know, very open, very empty, like with just one space for the artist. I went ahead and I added this hi-hat. It's just a simple basic two-step hi-hat, and I just have some rolls here and here and here. And finally I just have this basic snare. Reminder, make sure you keep everything as simple as possible. Like, the whole point is an artist to use your beat. Like, artists do not like complicated beats. They don't like beats which have too much going on, like 5 open hats and snares and rolls and 808s and, you know, all that stuff. You just want to make it as artist friendly as possible. That's how you get the most placements. That's how your beats sell the most. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna play the beat, and I'm gonna show you how it sounds with a vocal on.
Like he Alicia, why the ones you love are tend to leave whenever you need them most. Even though we ain't got no ball like we used to, at least I call. DA gave his ass charge, you beat them all. Try to tell us.
Extremely open, extremely simple, and easy to get on. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new, and catch you in the next one.